curious thing. Back home in the UK, when you're in the theatre, after the first day's reading, rehearsal, the stage manager stands up and says, right, we need a union rep. At which point, he might as well, or she, have shouted out fire. It's a very quick way of emptying a theatre rehearsal space. No one wants to be the equity dep. Well, that has changed for me. I am now a very strong union member. That is what we're going to talk about today. My name is John Pirkis, and this is Diary of a Failed Actor. This is the Lincoln Centre for Performing Arts. It was built in the 1950s by John D. Rockefeller III. It is home to the Metropolitan Opera, to the New York City Ballet, and to the New York Philharmonic. And also within this complex is the famous Juilliard School. And I have a plea now for Battersea Arts Centre. In my mind, one of the most important arts centre theatre spaces in London. In fact, it has been named the nation's theatre by the London Guardian newspaper this year. David Jubb is the current artistic director there, and I know that Paul Robinson, artistic director at 503, Theatre 503 now, they still collaborate closely together. Well, last week, very sadly, whilst they were making repairs to the Great Hall at the back of the building, it caught fire. And the Great Hall and the lower hall were destroyed. Thankfully, everybody got out of that building unhurt and alive. They are very much in need of financial support and donations to rebuild the space back to its former glory and to get it functioning again 100% as it was before this disaster. Please click on the link below. It's a donation link to support Battersea Arts Centre and enable them to rebuild the building. This is my British Equity card, of which I'm incredibly proud, because when I came out of drama school, you had to fight to get this card. You got it by going into the theatre, and every season there were 2 equity cards only to be handed out either to an actor or a member of the stage management, one or the other. So there was a lot of competition to win this card. Without it, you could do nothing. You could not do theatre, TV, film or radio, until Maggie Thatcher came into power and in her second term dismantled the unions, thereby drawing the teeth of British equity. It doesn't matter whether you are living and working abroad, here in America or wherever you are, I still advocate it is so important for you to remain an equity member, because your dues go a long way in serving other actors less fortunate than yourself. Our dues pay for everybody that works within equity, that is working for our rights, to protect us, to support us. And to join equity in the UK, £28 to join. That's your initiation fee. I suffered a back injury in the 90s that put me on my back for a year. I was paralysed. I could not afford the medical treatment that I needed. Equity paid for that. They paid for me to have an MRI scan, and I had keyhole surgery to pull what was discovered to be a shattered disc that had erupted into my spine. And there are a number of other cases I can cite of people who've been injured actors on stage and stage management, and equity have paid for their legal fees, have supported them financially and enabled them to gain huge compensation, which can take sometimes as much as 3 years to fight for. Without equity, that would be your liability and your expense. If you're going over to the UK as a US actor, if you're looking to start working there, to settle there, if you've got a visa there, definitely become a British Equity member. I started, along with several other like-minded equity members in Los Angeles, now called the British Equity Ambassadors, to assist British Equity. I do keep calling them British Equity. They are, of course, now Equity. They were British Equity when I joined, and they're now known as simply Equity. Equity do a huge amount in ensuring that their members get all the money that's due to them. You would be surprised how much money is held back by the studios. Equity come out every year, and they have to do this. There's a huge queue from various other countries' unions who have to go to Fox, they have to go to Disney, to Universal, to Paramount, to Warner Brothers. They have to go to each of the studios and say, right, you owe us X amount of residuals. In fact, last year, when Equity came out to Los Angeles, they came home with $1.7 million of residuals owed to British Equity members that the studios were holding on to. They came over to Los Angeles last year with a seminar, two panels. They brought over casting directors and agents from the UK to talk to those who are looking to move from Los Angeles, actors moving from Los Angeles to London. And they had a panel of attorneys, manager, agents and actors to talk to British actors coming into Los Angeles. And they are setting up something similar here in New York. So to join a British Equity, there's a link that I will put on my blog to enable you to do that. Drop a line to Matt Hood, he is head of membership at Equity, and Louise Granger is director of events. Very much they work hand in glove together in creating events for Equity members in Los Angeles and in New York, as well as up and down the country in the United Kingdom. These are my suggestions, these are my tips, these are from my personal experiences, and I would always say, join the union, support the union and enable the union to support you and your fellow actors. My name is John Pirkis and this is Diary of a Failed Actor.